Hey guys, welcome back to Fromthedepths. This is ChillBuilder here. So today I'm very excited to show you guys some of the stuff I've been working on for the Tiamat custom campaign for almost a year now. This is a custom campaign I've been building all by myself, and the principle behind it is to create a new and challenging combat experience for pretty much like old experienced FTD players, and maybe something interesting and fun and kind of different for new FTD players as well. So first of all, I'm changing the physics settings for this world, which is already done for something like the Ruler of Steel. It actually makes FTD in this game mode feels quite different from the standard meter. Almost feels like you're playing a different game because we're switching on the meta, and players are kind of thinking about design and armor and weapons a bit differently. And how I'm doing this is I'm inspired to make this world a bit more like the physics of the real world. Whether I can get there or not is more about having fun, and it's not like totally realistic, but the idea is to kind of have a FTD game that has a different feel. So first change is air resistance is much lower, so planes can go faster more easily. And to compensate for that, missile speed has been greatly increased as well. Weight of everything is increased, as well as buoyancy a little bit to compensate. Propulsion factor is toned down a little bit. So this basically makes airships a lot harder to build and maintain. They're still quite powerful, unfortunately. It's very hard to tune that out. But they do require a lot of resources to stay up in the air, and the resource density is greatly decreased. So you need a lot of resource storage to fuel your ship, which is kind of more like real life, and you kind of pay attention on your volumes and storage space and stuff like that. You can just have like super compact hover tanks overrun the map, which is something I like to do in Ether, but I kind of get a bit tired of my own uh my own meta. So damage is greatly increased. It's more like real life kind of damage. A tank takes a hit and it blows up. But active protection is quite good. APS is nerfed slightly, but it's still quite powerful with the 3 times damage, I have to say. And then, again, missiles are much faster. It feels very interesting to look at. Yeah, we'll see in combat demo a bit later. So that's one. Just tweaking the physics will make this feel like a slightly different game. And two, I created a lot of different assets for kind of base assault and invasion. So there's a lot of these tiny units that will be dotted around the terrain, taking cover behind other units, taking advantage of terrain. There will be different types of emplacements that players will expect to face when they assault an enemy base, which is kind of how you take resources and progress the game. So these kind of base assaults will be almost like solving a little puzzle in terms of analyzing the kind of defenses enemy side has, and kind of working around that with different kind of combined arms principles to tackle the site's weaknesses. I just want to show off this beautiful oil rig a little bit before we jump into some kind of faction showcase and demo, or combat demo for this video at least. I want to create a gameplay demo and release it on the workshop within the next month or two. And that's gonna be a lot of work, but let's see how it goes. The first faction here is called the Cartel. Obviously, they're based on pirates, so they got a lot of these like little sea drones and a lot of these suicide planes, or maybe they're actually unmanned fighter planes. It's a close range bomber version, and then this is a little pirate base. And then they have a lot of these actual Somali speedboats, and they're facing off against a Vanguard frigate in this first demo here. So these guys, they're all based on very cheap class cannon units, swarming the enemy with numbers and providing a target-rich environment to their enemies. That's kind of making it hard for them to properly defend themselves or select a target. That frigate actually has a lot of engine power. It can actually go quite fast, and it's kind of not easy to. Oh, wait, we almost have a hit. Did it do a little bit of damage? So each missile strike is actually very devastating. And then we have these nasty little buggers coming in, and let's see. So those guys are armed with diff guns. So they can be very devastating if they land a hit. The pirate boats. We see some big damage. I think one of those small drones landed a hit. They're extremely cheap. They actually have no armor. They're only about 2,000 resources or so. Let's have a look at these speedboats. So this little frigate is doing a pretty good job at air protection and shooting down these missiles. So it's pretty tanky against primarily missile-based offense capability. Despite having minimal armor and being a Cold War based design. Let's see, so this is primarily an air defense frigate. So it's done a pretty good job of shooting down those tiny drones as well. So that's good because with how compact it is, the drones can easily kill this ship. So you can see with 3 times damage, each missile strike is quite impactful. So you do want to, mind your missile defenses. For our next demo here, we have another Vanguard unit. So this Cold War faction is the most complete faction I have currently. So I want to kind of finish off this faction and the pirates, and then that way I can give you guys a 2-faction demo, and then I'll slowly fill out the rest of the factions. However, I just to kind of get a good feel for what each faction would, how they would function, I created one cruiser for each of the factions. So this one, I think Vanguard will be the 3rd faction, and here is the 2nd. But it won't be completed until later. This is kind of the World War II Gunpowder based faction called the Knights. And as you can see, they're, what can I say, they're a gun based faction. So this ship is very good. It can beat a lot of meter units in its cost bracket, and it has kind of heavy armor, it has wood and metal and alloy. Oh, there's a lot of missiles coming in. They're kind of massacring this ship. Okay, so on the tower, there's a bunch of missile defenses. So if that's being shot out, I don't think the prognosis for this little cruiser uh, will be doing too good. So you can see it's shooting that carrier. And the carrier kind of launched out of its planes. Yeah, this is very much a missile-based faction. Let's see, Enterprises 96, and we got the Chevalier at 96 as well. Very devastating opening for both sides. I think once the ship loses its main citadel, it might have very poor missile defenses to kind of fend off the attack of the Enterprise's air wing. So these fighters here, they're super agile. They're very fast and they're very cheap as well. Just in the interest of fitting as many small planes onto the carrier to make it look more realistic. Oh, we got absolute barrage of missiles coming. Oh, we got a disabled turret. They're just saying the turrets are pretty well made. Everything else is destroyed around it, but the neck is still hanging on, and then the turret pops. Let's see if we get AI dead on the carrier. No, the carrier is fairly tanky. This cruiser is not doing so well though. Oh, and we got torpedoes incoming from one of the anti-submarine helicopters, which is trying to become a submarine itself. Probably received some damage. So yeah, this little cruiser has just become combat disabled. Okay, is this... who's keeping count? Is this a CERT combat demo? So this is a Iron Rand missile cruiser from the Vanguard faction again. So yeah, there's a lot of units for this faction. They have kind of different missiles. These units are all kind of glass cannons. They have barely any armor and lots of missiles, which is generally not how I usually like to build things in either, but for the sake of realism, I do kind of keep them in the same style. And this is kind of a more futuristic design, more futuristic modern navy with railguns and lasers. But they also have kinetic missiles, and these missiles are convergent. Same for the other one. So missile defenses are really good in this game mode right now. But one way to kind of shoot through that is to have missiles take different flight paths and converge on the same point. So that kind of overwhelms the target's missile defense ability to retarget the most threatening missile. Let's pop over the side again. Let's see. I think the KPI has been able to intercept all of the Iron Rand's missiles. So Iron Rand was the first ship I created for this campaign, just to get a feel for how things go. So it's a bit dated, and then I refitted recently with the best technology missile convergence, but the missiles do have more of a payload, and they're not pure kinetic compared to the KPI cruisers' pure kinetic missiles. So those missiles are definitely designed to just punch through defenses, and of course it's got twin railguns in the front that can disable a lot of functionality in enemy ships. Just look at that. And you don't see his lasers, but the lasers only activate against aircraft, so it's there. It's quite good. This here is what I call a scheduled aircraft aerial cruiser, and the faction is called the Harpies, or the Harpy Commonwealth. So these, they're obviously a flying-based faction, similar to Great Talons from Neater, but they do use wings and kind of more traditional aircraft principles, because aircraft is meant to be nerfed in this campaign. So kind of fuel storage is very important factor to consider. And then the guns, these guns, they're dual purpose kinetic CWAS, so they're decently meta, especially against a missile heavy campaign. But the win rate against the KPI cruiser is, I think it's around 50-50 or a bit lower. The missiles are quite devastating when they do land on this plane, just due to how compact everything is. Some damage is, good against aircraft when you're able to connect. Got lots of sandblaster weapons. Let's see how this ship is doing. It's getting chewed out, but has multiple layers of defenses, so most of the systems are able to remain functional. And now it's losing buoyancy, so that could be a problem. Maybe I should upgrade the schedule with a different variant, with replacing one of the sandblasters with a single penetrating gun. Could give it a lot more punch against a target like this. See, these missiles are always interesting to look at. Just different trajectory, how they converge. Yeah, even with the speed buff, they're not able to catch up to this type of aircraft, which is a little bit of a shame, but I do like this faction a lot. So in terms of damage taken, they're almost even, but this flying unit is very compact, right? So once it starts taking any kind of internal damage, it starts losing functionality very fast, whereas something like this cruiser here is very tanky, is able to survive with a lot of missing components. It's just very lots of redundancies, let's say. You never end up using its laser. Probably on target is either too high volume or too far. I can see the plane breaking up in the distance, and this AI dead. Yeah, it's a little bit of a difficult fight. It's interesting to see. So this last one here, this is the Tiamat class submarine cruiser, or battlecruiser. This is a purely sci-fi based faction, kind of like the Scarlet Dawn, but they're not limited to only being in the air. So they can use outrigs. They tend to prefer energy weapons, just with a hit scan at long distances. They can have submarines, they can have land vehicles or airships or water vehicles. Anything goes. And yeah, they're kind of sleek. This particular ship has a large particle cannon, and then it has lasers, and it has these generator ships supplying it power. I also want to do a huge in-depth demo for this vehicle, but I'll just showcase a little bit of anti-air capabilities here with this laser. Yeah, it's a bit of a slaughter, isn't it? Yeah, thanks everyone for watching, ladies and gents. This has been the Tiamat campaign showcase, and if you like my content, please consider showing your support by leaving a like or subscribe. To a bit of housekeeping here, I improved my audio recording setup, so hopefully there won't be as many kind of annoying little audio issues as before. Unfortunately, for the Ruler of Steel playthrough, that's footage recorded from 2023 on only one channel. Unfortunately, I didn't figure out how to deal with that at that time, so that will I'll be with old audio that I'm not able to record over. But moving forward, I'm gonna have more Tiamat showcases and do kind of a playthrough with the 40k Imperial Navy, and hope you guys stay tuned. Enjoy!